Aloha, 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 aloha. Welcome at Wednesday Wee. Welcome, beautiful soul. So I came to realize that in some countries past Sunday was Father's Day, and in other countries next Sunday is Father's Day. So I thought that would be really good, as we are amidst the Sundays on Wednesday. It would be a good opportunity to talk about fathers. And I invite you to reflect on what your father is for you. I'm very aware that there are lots of people that are listening to me, that are watching these videos, that may be from my age and have fathers that were putting their work first and not their family. Or it may have seemed that way, because in general that was the way that a father expressed their love towards their family, by working and making sure that there was nothing to complain about. Other people are of generations where father was more present. I once saw a training of Tony Robbins, and he was having this conversation with this lady and was asking, whose approval did you yearn for the most when you were a little kid? Was that your father? So in your case, did you yearn for the approval of your father, the presence, and him seeing you with whatever you were doing, with all the new tricks that you were showing or that you had inside of you? Were you showing them to him? What does the father represent to you? And maybe you are a father at this moment. What kind of father are you? It's always easy looking from the outside towards family dynamics and see like, oh, this is happening and that is happening and that is happening and this is wrong and that is good, and whatever judgments we have. But then, when you are inside that situation, it's quite different, isn't it? And sometimes it's also mixing you up, isn't it? My father deceased when I was 25 years old. And my parents divorced when I was 8. So my relationship with my father during life was completely different than from my schoolmates that had their families still together. And when we moved to a different country, when I was around 8 or 9, we moved to Belgium, and then like the culture there was also different, and the role of the father was different. And of course there was effect of that. The fact that for me my father was an absent father while my parents were married, and also after the marriage, just doesn't have that capacity to be present in my perception. And that made an imprint on me. I was reading a post of a friend of mine on Facebook, and she said like, oh my gosh, I'm realizing how much my husband looks like my father. And I start to understand better why my mother is reacting and acting the way that she's doing. So these questions that I'm asking you are a way to punch through the dynamics that are happening at this moment. In Ho'oponopono, I have learned to honor my parents. Well, as I already shined through, I didn't have really a relationship with my father. But I did with my mother. And I projected all the junk to my mother. Because my father was that absent, I was always yearning for his approval. And he was always the good guy, no matter what happened. He was always the good guy. And my mother was the difficult one. And in Ho'oponopono, I learned to honor her. And I learned to honor him for who they were at that time, for who they could be when they were parents together and when they were parents apart. So may you reflect on your father today, or maybe you already did past Sunday, or you're going to do that coming Sunday when you're honoring him, celebrating Father's Day. What is there underneath those layers? What is there to honor him for? What is there to compliment him for? If he's still here, or even if he's not here anymore, you can still do so in the energetics. Just send a prayer to him. What does he represent to you? And do you see that also in the other people, other men that you are in relationship with? Do you see the imprint that your father had from the outside, like being your father, and from the inside being part of your genes? Can you thank him for giving life, even though you may not be a perfect father? I've been talking with a lot of people about parents, and then of course, like in my generation, most parents, they are born in war. So they have this lack mentality in their genes. It's like everywhere. And they're not conscious of it. Not all of them. But it brings friction, doesn't it? Can you see your parents from the perspective from the era where they come from? Like maybe your parents are from the 70s. They were born in the 70s where there was all this revolution and energy, and there were like love and peace manifestations everywhere. It has an imprint on them. Can you see your parents? Can you see your father from the perspective of the social culture, of the do's and don'ts? The fact that they had to work to provide for the family. It was never a question, you know. It was never an opportunity. It was never a possibility to choose. They had to. Even didn't matter if they liked their job or not. They are not from this age, this era, this time in life where there are so many opportunities. They are from a time when there were not many opportunities, but there were a lot of judgments. There were a lot of structures imposed on the people. And a man had to go out and work and provide for the family. And it was never enough. And the woman had to stay home and take care of the children. And that was never enough either. And some of them would have died to swap roles. Some women would have died to just go and work, but they were not allowed. Some men would just have died just to stay home for a few days and be with the kids. Or maybe not work at all because they did not have that much in their system. They only did it because they wanted to comply to the world and to the demands of the world and of the family. Can you see that in your father? Can you see your father that he is expressing his love to you by working hard, not being home that much, but earning as much money as possible? Can you see that? It's enough to think about, I believe. Sending you much, 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 much love. Much, 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 much love. On your way of discovery. And to see the imprint of the people through whom you are born, through whom you have received life. Take good care. Be sweet. Sending you much love. Bye-bye. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you, beautiful soul. If there's anything I want you to take from these videos, then it is the permission for you to shine your light. It's the most important thing. So go ahead, shine your light. I love you. Bye-bye.